the knees up, coming into a downward facing dog. And just breathe. Inhale. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale, 2. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Inhale. Exhale, 4. Bend your knees just a little. Inhale. I'm going to push your shoulders back. Exhale, 5. Inhale. Exhale, 6. Same thing with you, Swati. Bend the knees a little. Push your shoulders back. Inhale. Exhale, 7. Inhale. Exhale, 8. Good. Inhale. Exhale, 9. Inhale. Exhale, 10. Now inhale, come forward to a plank. Push the floor away from you, protracting the shoulders and look at the wall in front of you, kind of pushing the floor away. Yeah, inhale. Exhale, 1. This is a little different than they would have you do it at a gym. Exhale, 2. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Try to lengthen the tailbone toward the heels. Exhale, 4. So you don't want to hike the hips up. Exhale, 5. Inhale. Exhale, 6. Inhale. Exhale, 7. Inhale. Exhale, 8. Inhale. Exhale, 9. Inhale. Exhale, go back to a downward facing dog. Lift the hips. Soften the knees with the block between the legs. Walk the feet forward till the hips, the knees, and the ankles are all in line with each other. Your feet are going to stay about 2 fists apart because the block in between your feet. Put your hands on blocks. You can raise those blocks up to whatever height you need so you can extend the legs. Press into your hands. Look back at your shin bones. Inhale. Exhale, 1. You want to try to use a full palm instead of a thumb. Exhale, 2. So raise the blocks up to you. So when we talk about protraction of the shoulders and retraction of the shoulders, if you come onto your fingertips and your thumbs, you're retracting. Exhale, 5. This is a protraction. Exhale, 4. Inhale. Exhale, 6. Inhale. Exhale, 7. Sid, put your hands on the blocks. Inhale. Flat, flat, girl. Flat, flat, flat. 9. Inhale. Exhale, 10. Good. Soften the knees. Take the block from between the thighs. Put the block behind you on the highest setting. So it's like a tower. Step the feet out as wide as the mat. The heels are going to be on the edge of the yoga mat, the toes on the bamboo floor. Come down and sit on the block. Then bring the hands together, bring the elbows right in between the knees and press out with the forearms and kind of squeeze in with the knees. So you're squatting, getting a little squat in here. Exhale, 1. This is just a regular old squat. People don't squat enough anymore. Exhale, 2. Inhale, try to bring the forearms parallel to the floor. Exhale, 3. That'll give you a little pressure in your inner thigh. Inhale. Exhale, 5. Inhale. Exhale, 6. Inhale. Exhale, 7. Inhale. Exhale, 8. Inhale. Exhale, 9. Inhale. Exhale, 10. Then put the hands on the floor. Lift the hips just a little bit. Move that block off to the side. Come sit down on the floor. And straighten the legs out in front of you. On the inhale, bend the right knee into the chest. Step the right foot on the outside of the left knee joint. You don't have to go any higher. Remember, this is just a warm-up. Dorsiflex the left foot. Pull the left toes back toward you. Lift the left arm up alongside the left ear. Bring the left arm on the outside of the right leg. Bring the right hand behind you in line with the spine and look at the wall behind you. Adva Matsyendrasana. Inhale. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Keep pulling those left toes back. Exhale, 2. You want a little feeling in your hamstring. Exhale, 3. Inhale. Exhale, 4. Inhale. Exhale, 5. Then inhale, come back to center. And then exhale, straighten the right leg out. Bend the left knee into the chest. Put the left foot on the outside of the right knee. Pull the right toes back. Lift the right arm up. Twist over to the left. Bring your left hand behind you, but put your palm down and bring your hand closer to your hip so you're not leaning toward the wall. You're lifting up. Exhale, 1. That's a key here. You're not leaning backwards here. Exhale, 2. Cranial over sacral. Exhale, 3. Inhale. Exhale, 4. Inhale. Exhale, 5. Good. Inhale, come back to center and extend the left leg out in front of you. Now bend the knees, put the heels where the knees were. Take the block, put the block on this setting, a little wider. That's going to make your feet a little bit wider, okay? Bring the hands behind you, fingers facing toward the center of the room and slightly turned out. Lift the hips up, lifting the block up. Squeeze the glutes. Exhale, let the head go back. Tabletop. Inhale. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale, 2. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Inhale. Exhale, 4. Inhale. Exhale, 5. Inhale. Exhale, 6. Inhale. Exhale, 7. Inhale. Exhale, 8. Inhale. Exhale, 9. Inhale. Exhale, come down. Take that block out from between the legs and come sit on a blanket for a second. Good morning, everybody. And that is your warm-up. Every time you'll come to class, you'll do that warm-up. I don't teach you the asanas during the warm-up. I teach them to you over the 4-week course, right? So this week of the month is standing asanas. Standing asanas reveal our willingness to connect to the earth. Am I connecting? Am I conscious of that connection? Let's start out by this so we can connect to each other. Let's start out by introducing ourselves to each other. I'll start with you, Sid. Anil. Chris. Saraswati. Veronique. Adrian. And I'm Austin. And so, like I said, asana means seat, a connection to the earth. How am I connecting to the earth? But also, how am I connecting to other earthlings where I share this space with, right? Yoga is something that allows you to become more conscious of everything you're doing. That's really the first step to the yoga practice, becoming conscious. In asana practices, in the seat practices, we become aware of things like, what is my hand doing? Why am I doing my hand like that? What is my foot doing? What is my inner thigh doing? What is my shoulder doing? Is it internal rotation, external rotation? So a yoga alignment isn't about right or wrong, right? Because you hear some schools say that this is the correct way to do things. That's not true. There's no one correct way to do something. Yoga alignment is completely subjective. What it is bringing consciousness to things. So the teacher may want you to be more conscious of a situation of inward rotation, external rotation. Am I protracting or am I retracting the shoulder, right? That's simply what yoga alignment is, okay? And yoga alignment and the ability to even practice these asanas starts with the ability that humans were able to stand up. Because at one time we were quadrupeds. It's obvious where our heart is, that our heart's like where a dog is. So everybody, take your feet to the floor and press into your feet and stand up. Okay, so standing up made us bipods, right? All of a sudden we're bipods. So standing asanas is about this ability to stand up. When we talk about standing asanas, the feet become the seat. And the feet tell us everything about what we're doing in the asanas alignment. So I want you to first come off of your beautiful yoga mats, which are kind of giving you a false indication of what your feet are doing, and come stand on this bamboo floor. Now, I want you to stand as if you are standing at the PATH train platform, waiting for a train. The train is late, and it's early in the morning, and be honest about how you stand when you do that. So what do you notice about the way you're standing? You're unbalanced. More weight on one side than the other. What do you notice? Same thing. What do you notice? Your defensive attitude, a little attitude, right? A little anger. That's all right. Okay, that's fair. What about you? It's very downward energy. It's very like kind of like sluggish. Yeah. How about you? What do you notice? Unevenness. Okay, so everybody say Tardasana. Tardasana means mountain seat, but the other name for this asana is samastetihi. Samastetihi means same or equal standing. So your teacher may say, come to Tadasana or come to samastetihi, right? They may say one of the same things. So when we talk about this unevenness in the feet, because that's the connection to the earth, that's the asana, we have to look at the feet. So everybody, let's come sit down for a second again, okay? And let's look at the sole of your foot real quick. Okay, my foot's dirty, right? Because I'm always barefoot. Okay, so if you notice, but the good thing to notice about the sole of your foot is your sole of your foot has two different colors of skin, right? It's not one solid color. There's dark areas and there's light areas. Where the skin is dark is where you put weight. Where it's light is where there is no weight. So where it's light, that's where the sole of the foot is not touching the earth. In reality, your foot has three arches. There's an arch on the inside right here. Most people, that's pretty pronounced on most people. Most people can feel that. There's an outer arch right over here. Then there is an arch behind the toes. So those are the three arches of the foot. The foot is said to have four corners. It's not a box, so that's a terrible way to describe it. Your foot's not a box, but I understand what people are saying. You can put pressure either on the two corners of the heels or the two corners of the ball of the foot. And sometimes that pressure is misaligned, meaning that you may see that the outside of your foot is dark because you're dropping that arch. Okay. So now everybody come and stand up again. All right? Now, when we talk about the arches of the feet and how you're standing, everybody come off onto this floor again. I love this floor. I paid a lot of money for it. Okay. So you can come up. You don't have to linger in the back. Come up here. I know. Don't be scared. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Everybody come onto the outside of the foot. Lift your big toes up. Now, I want you to take note of what's happening in your knees, your hips, and your chest. Walk a couple of steps forward. Now walk a couple of steps back. What do you notice that's happening in your hips and knees? Christine? No, it's not saying no. Tell me what it's doing, not emotionally. What is it physically doing? Okay, so what are your hips doing? There is out, or this is forward, out. Oh, sorry, forward. So let's do that again. So just come on the outside of your feet. Now walk forward and notice if they're jutting forward, because I don't see them jutting forward. Right. Okay, so what do you feel? Your knees are going out like you're bow-legged, okay? What is your hips doing? Your hips are going back. So this is putting you in a bow-legged position, but it's also putting you into an anterior pelvic tilt, which could feel natural for a lot of people if you're in an anterior pelvic tilt all the time. Okay, now come onto the inside of your foot and lift the little pinky toes up. Now notice what's happening in your knees, your hips, and your chest. Walk a few steps forward, and then walk a few steps back. What do you notice? They're knock-kneed. I'm knock-kneed, like Barbara Streisand. Yep. And then what's happening in your hips? It's rotating inward. There's an inward rotation of the thigh. Yes, which is collapsing. And here again, and your upper body's going back. Yes. Okay, so, and here again, that inward rotation here could send the hips back into an anterior pelvic tilt, or you could end up balancing by throwing your chest back, what you're doing, which is then putting you into a post-anterior pelvic tilt. Okay, let's try this. Everybody come onto the heel of the foot and lift the toes up and walk. And what do you notice is happening? The upper body is definitely tilted forward to balance. And what's happening in the hips? Because the hips is the hips are going back. Okay, so if you ever heard somebody, the other day we were at the mall and there was this young lady walking in her shoes and she had a little heel on. It wasn't that big. It was only like a couple inches. I used to be a costume designer, so I noticed these things. And she was like, bam, 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 bam. And I was like, oh my God, like somebody has never taught her to walk in a high heel shoe, that you're not just walk on the heel, right? And it makes a really loud sound. That's the thing that you'll notice about people who are walking on their heels. They're very loud when they step because there's a lot of pressure slamming down. But it puts you into an anterior pelvic tilt and it throws the weight of the body forward. Okay, let's try this one because this one is probably more familiar to some people in the room. Come onto the ball of the foot, lifting the heels up and do a little walk forward and do a little walk back. Now, all of a sudden, everybody feels like a runway model, right? What is that doing to you? You definitely elongates you. It makes you very statuesque. But what is it doing to your hips and your chest? Your chest is open, absolutely. But then the hips kind of go back, an anterior pelvic tilt. It's a little J-Lo, right? It's the J-Lo look, all right? So what we're really trying to figure out is how the connection of the earth changes the entire body from the ankles upward, okay? And when you start practicing yoga, the thing that you want to start to understand is yoga is akin to dance, right? It's a sister science to dance. In dancing, you learn all of the pelvic tilts, and you want a pelvis that can move in all directions if you want to be a dancer. Same thing is true of yoga. But we kind of get stuck in one tilt than the other. So let's just do this real quick and just talk about these pelvic tilts. Take a block, place the block between your legs and bring it back up. And this is why we start the warm-up. We want to become aware of the hips. Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that this is a tube of toothpaste and the opening of the toothpaste is in the back of you. And I want you to squeeze the tooth of toothpaste and shoot toothpaste on the back wall. So do that. So that means you got to internally rotate and go back with your hips. This is an anterior pelvic tilt. My hips are tilting anteriorly backwards and my chest is forward. It is J-Lo, it is Kim Kardashian, okay? Now imagine that the tube of toothpaste is in the front and then squeeze the tube of toothpaste and shoot the toothpaste forward. Notice how the hips move forward. You got to squeeze your butt and you got to move your hips forward. Okay, this is like John Wayne. Right? This is John Wayne. It's it's like very like this. So this is a post-anterior pelvic tilt. Now, most of the people that we talk about, they have kind of a personality, so they kind of use these anterior tilts to say something about the body. But what happens when you come into a neutral pelvis? Where there is no anterior pelvic tilt or no post-anterior pelvic tilt. There's no external rotation of the thighs. There's no internal rotation of the thighs. But there's kind of this line of energy pressing down into the feet and lifting up. Do you feel that? How when you come back from one extreme or the other, that now there's a kind of equalness to it, right? The samasteti. Okay, great. Then let's take that out. Okay, so we learned that whatever our feet are doing, because as soon as you started doing that with the toothpaste, you felt the weight distribution in your feet change too. So in my tradition, when we teach Tadasana, the feet come together. Why? When I bring the feet together, I don't even have to look down at them. I know where they are in space. I know that they're parallel. I can feel my heels touching each other. I can feel my big toes or my bunions, if that comes first, touching each other, right? And then I can start to develop this equal weight distribution through the four corners of my feet. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to lift all 10 toes up. Now, as you lift all 10 toes up, I want you to feel the outer arch and the inner arch and make a little land bridge by lifting up your inner and outer arch. So you're not rolling to one side. I'm not favoring the outside, because if I do that, my knees are going to come apart from each other. My knees are still kind of touching. I'm equalizing that weight in the four corners of the feet. Can you feel that? It's like I said, imagine a little stream running underneath the arches of the feet. Now, starting with the little baby toe, gently place it onto the floor without gripping. Then go to the fourth toe, the middle toe, and then finally the big toe. And let the toes kind of extend, keeping the arch of the foot behind the toes, okay? So now there is an equal weight distribution through the feet. Now let's move up from the feet. Can you feel your inner ankles touching? Yes? Okay, without losing that connection in your feet, lift your inner ankle bones up. Now come to your shin bones. Imagine that you can lift the skin of your shin up toward the kneecap. Then put a little softness in your knees. Now, what do I mean by softness? If I lock my knees and push my hips back, I'm in an anterior pelvic tilt. If I bend my knees, I go into a post-anterior pelvic tilt. However, if there's just a little softness in the knees, I can keep my hips over my ankles. And then I actually have the ability to move my hips independently, isolating the hips. Without the knees making the decisions of what the hips are going to do. Okay? Then tap your quadriceps, the front of your thighs. Are they sleepy? Are they active? Don't lock them, but pull the muscle up toward the hip. Then bring the hand onto the pelvis and bring the hand onto the sacrum. Know what the sacrum and the pelvis are doing. Imagine that you can pull your pubic bone toward your sacrum in between at the pelvic floor. So there's that neutral pelvis again. Okay, let's move up from there. Bring your hand onto the abdomen. Bring the hand into the middle of the back. Lift the belly button up toward the ribs a little bit, pulling the navel in and up. Then bring the hands to the lower ribs. Feel how they're maybe jutting out. Try to knit them toward each other, letting your fingertips touch so the ribs come in. Then bring the hands alongside the body. Going up to the shoulders, bring your shoulders up by your ears like you're Frankenstein. Notice how that does not feel good. Then throw your shoulders back toward the wall behind you like you're a Russian soldier. Notice how that doesn't feel natural either, and it causes you to externally rotate the arm. But then bring the arms alongside the body. And I want you to make a fist with your hands. And I want you to imagine that there's 5 gallons of water in a bucket in each hand. And the energy of the earth is pulling the buckets down toward the earth, because gravity's working. Then release the buckets and feel the energy moving down your fingertips with your inner palms facing inward. Now, moving up to the neck and the chin, I want you to move your chin forward like you're a chicken. Notice how that doesn't feel good. Then move your chin back so it's like you're like surprised, okay? Now, line the ears up with the shoulders so the head is on a neutral position, that the cranial and the sacral are aligned, and the gaze is at the horizon, and you're pressing down into the feet, lifting up out of the earth, but at the same time, heavenly energies moving down the back of the body, pulling you toward the earth, because that's gravity. And breathe. Inhale. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Nice, everybody. Exhale, 2. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Sit, open the eyes. Gazes at the horizon. If I didn't say that, I'm sorry. Exhale, 4. Inhale. Exhale, 5. Now relax. All right. How did that feel different from when you stood up at the train station?
I don't think I've ever had that level of consciousness, like just doing something like standing.
Yeah.
But like when you had the feet touching the entire floor, like making contact.
Yeah.
I don't know that I ever done that. That was really cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Which starts out with Tadasana, right? Like, and every other asana has Tadasana in it. And this is the important thing to remember. Asana means seat. When we would teach these Sanskrit words, you'll notice that every name has the word seat at the end of it, asana at the end of it. So what this is implying is that all other asanas have Tadasana woven into it, right? Because it's our ability to push down into the earth and stand up and create the seat that allows us to do these practices. So when we talk about the other asanas, always come back to Tadasana and that feeling that of consciousness that you found and especially in the feet in any standing asana. Let's talk about another asana. Any questions about Tadasana I should throw out there? Yes. Yes.
It felt like my weight was moving tight.
So if you don't move your weight forward, but lift your toes, then put your toes down, but then lift your inner ankles away from each other, outward a little bit. Like this, because a lot of times people say, that hurts my ankles. I feel my ankles bones pushing against each other. Okay, so then make a little space to lift up in the ankle bone. You don't really lean forward. You kind of actually are doing this. You feel this energy happening outward. Yep. Good. All right. Everybody say Utkatasana. So Utkatasana, this is something I put into the fundamentals because nobody teaches this. It translates into fierce seat, but you'll hear it called chair seat. Or, fierce chair seat, I don't know. They'll call it a lot of different things. But a lot of times what happens is if Tadasana is this neutral energetic of pressing down and lifting up, when the teacher says Utkatasana, people do this all of a sudden. And some of them are out in the woods, taking a little bathroom break. You don't lose that energetic of Tadasana. Okay, so in reality, let's start it with a block. Let's take a block, and you can come back to your mat now. Everybody's kind of has that feeling, and allow your feet to come apart. Because anytime you put the block between the legs, we're making awareness of the abductors and the adductors. The adductors are inner thigh muscles. Abductors are external muscles, right? And when we talk about a neutral pelvis, it means that those two muscles are kind of crunching in together. So it's not like we don't want to crunch this like a walnut, but we have got it engaged between our legs. It's not going into the anterior pelvic tilt and it's not going into the neutral pelvic tilt. So bring the hands onto the hips. That way you know what the hips are doing. Then just bend the knees, but as you bend the knees, keep the weight even in your feet and keep your hips over your ankles. If you find that your hips are going back and your shoulders are going in front of your knees, you're going into that anterior pelvic tilt. If you feel like all the weight is going into your toes and you can't find the seat, you're going into a post-anterior pelvic tilt. So we're trying to find a neutral pelvic tilt as we bend the knees. Squeeze the block with the legs, okay? Then bring your thumbs into your armpits and lift your chest up as if you're still standing up. Then break your arms out in front of you, press your palms together. Now pull your shoulders onto your back. So roll your shoulders down and back so your shoulders aren't up by your jaw. And just lift the arms up to a 45-degree angle. Now, imagine that you're doing a crunch at the gym. Squeeze your belly toward each other, crunching. So there's a core action here. And breathe. Inhale. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale, 2. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Inhale. Exhale, 4. Inhale. Exhale, 5. Then come stand up. And then take the block out from between the thighs. So when we talk about asanas, there are asanas that are strength building. They are not stretches. Then there are asanas that are stretches, okay? They're different and they're meant to do different things. Utkatasana is a heat building asana. How many people felt a little hotter as you just did that for 5 breaths? Because it is a full body contraction. There is nothing relaxing. There is nothing that's stretching, right? Even that last note when I said crunch the abdomen in like you're doing a little mini setup, that's going to give you protection of the lower back. So you can stay in that asana for 4 or 5 breaths without saying, oh, my back's killing me now. But it's meant to heat you up. What we know scientifically about the body, if the body is heated up and the muscles are heated, then when it comes time to stretch, it's easier to stretch. But Utkatasana is a contraction of muscles, okay? So let's try it without the block in between the thighs. Step the feet together, big toes and heels touch, and notice how you don't have to bend the knees very deeply. Bend the knees, keeping the hips over the ankles. Then lift the arms up and pull your belly button in toward the spine like a little mini crunch and breathe. Inhale. Exhale 1. Inhale. Exhale 2. Inhale. Exhale 3. Inhale. Tailbone tucks under a little. Exhale 4. So you're not in an anterior pelvic tilt. Inhale. Exhale 5. And then come stand up. How did that feel? Because you like to be in the anterior pelvic tilt. Right. So then that, because it's a little bit like you want to go here, but then you got to go here, and then that creates. So one of the things, especially when we talk about anterior pelvic tilts and post-anterior pelvic tilts, they do 2 different things in the body. If you're somebody who is always in an anterior pelvic tilt, you are stretching the abdomen muscles, and over time, this leads to a weak core. If you have a post-anterior pelvic tilt, I am contracting the abdomen muscles, which means sometimes I have a stronger core, but it may be so strong that I can't move, right? Because you see those guys, like I said, John Wayne, he can't stand up anymore because this is always contracting, you know. So that's something to know, that what we're doing is we're learning to also use these muscles in unison with everything else, that the core is strengthening and the core has to stretch. But you have to consciously, that idea that I become conscious of the core and like how you're using it. It's not always a contraction, it's not always a stretch. Any questions? Everybody say, Uttanasana. So we've heated up the post-anterior chain of the body by standing and doing this little fierce seat, right? So now the back of the body is ready to be stretched. Ut means intense. Tanasana means back, body, stretch, seat, right? So everybody, let's do this. I want to do this one today. I haven't done this one in a long time. I want you to take 2 blocks. And I want you, I'm going to come over to your spot, Veronique, for a moment. And we're going to watch what I do. I'm going to put the blocks about right here, okay? The key to your Uttanasana. You are looking back at your own pubic bone. I'm going to walk forward, and I'm going to get my upper back onto the wall. Then I'm going to walk the blocks back, and I'm going to push into the hands, push into the feet, and try to get my belly onto my thighs. I'm going to do 5 breaths here. I'll feel the intense stretch back here. Then to come out of it, I'm going to bend the knees a little bit and step back. All right? So set the blocks probably about 6 to 8 inches away from the wall. I haven't done that variation in a long time. And then step away from you don't want to be against the wall to begin with. You want to be back a little bit. Put your palms flat on the wall. Now bring your chin into your chest. Look back at your own knees. Now start to walk your feet forward and put your head then your upper back onto the wall. So your bra strap or your bro strap is going to touch. So you got to walk in between those blocks. You got to put that right there. Now, once you get your middle back, your upper back on there, push into your hands and try to extend your legs. And then try to pull your belly in and pull your head toward your shin bones. But notice how that by pressing into the floor is how you actually go deeper into it. So it's pressing down with your hands, it's pressing down with the feet, and it's breathing. Inhale. Exhale 1. Inhale. Exhale 2. So lift up through there. Exhale 3. That's good. Inhale. Exhale 4. So the gaze is at the shins. The knees are, if you can, all the way up your belly button. Sure, why not? Exhale 4. Inhale. Exhale 5. Goodness, soften the knees. Walk back a little bit into the middle of the room. Oh. And then come stand up. All right. So did everybody feel that? Oot stretch? Yes. Oot. Like I love oot. All right. Oot is intense. So therefore, and here again, that idea of like, was that painful or was that intense? It's here again, this is subjective a little bit, but notice that it is in the Sanskrit name that they're expecting you to have a little fire there. It's not like relaxed stretch. It's a uttanasana. Okay. So when we talk about forward folds, I want to talk now about where the body folds. So everybody, your waist is much higher than you think. I am wearing my pants on my high hip. Okay. If you bring your hands up to your lower rib cage, that bottom rib, and then go from side to side, there's a natural bend at the side. That is your waist. This is where, back in the good old days, if you would to a tailor, they would have put your waistband of your pants. They would have not put it down here on the high hip. Think of all those movies from the 1930s where people's pants are really high, or the dresses, the belt of the dress is really high and everybody looks like they got long legs. This is the waist. So you natural bend on the waist side to side. Now try to fold forward from the waist. Try to fold. Notice how it's impossible. Okay? So when we fold forward from the waist, what happens is the thoracic spine tries to curl in and there's nowhere for the rib cage to go. Okay? The natural bend for the hip, for our forward fold is at the hip. And like I said, my pants are on my high hip. The widest part of my behind is my low hip. Like I said, I used to be a costume designer and dressmaker, so I still talk about everything sometimes in class as if we're talking about clothes, because you wear clothes and then you can kind of identify with it. So if I put my fingers in the bikini line, think about bikini underwear or a bikini, and the elastic going around your leg, okay? That's kind of somewhere in between the high hip and the low hip, right? But if I put my two fingers right there and I feel those hip bones in the front of my leg, and I bend forward from that hip, oh my God, there is a complete forward fold from the hip. Then come and stand back up by pushing into your feet. So when your teacher says to you, fold forward with a straight back, let's be clear, there is no way your back is going to be straight. It is not a straight line, it is a curve. However, what they're saying to you is fold forward from the hip crease so that as I go down into an uttanasana, I don't lose tadasana. I'm not rounding the spine to get there. And then I can put my hands on the blocks. I can look back. I can even start to lower the blocks to extend the arms and go deeper. So everybody try this. Come stand up. Take your 2 blocks. God gave you 2 arms. I gave you 3 blocks. What does that mean? Oh, you're divine. 3 hands. Okay, let's put the blocks next to the legs. So when we did the warm-up, we did a modified Uttanasana. The hands were in front of your feet. That's a warm-up. But in a true Uttanasana, you want the fingertips in line with the toes. That's what you're aiming for. So let's just start with this idea of acknowledging the hip crease, coming into Tadasana, mountain seat, having that pressing down to lift up. Now, pull your belly in, tighten your core, and hinge at your hip crease and fold forward into an L shape. Now, let your hands slide down the thighs onto the blocks with your fingers in line with your toes. And then lift the head and chest. Put a little weight even in the feet. You may have gone to the heels a little bit. And then exhale, bend your elbows and look back at your knees or your shin bones or your belly button if you can. And press down to actually lift up. So the more you press into your hands, your sit bones will lift higher. And that's why you want to connect to the earth with the hands fully. The more I press into the hands, the deeper I'll go into the asana. Exhale 1. Inhale. Exhale 2. Inhale. Exhale 3. Inhale. Exhale 4. Inhale. Exhale 5. Now, on the inhale, lift the head and chest halfway. Look at the wall in front of you, okay? This is Adha Uttanasana, half Uttanasana. But think about how you use the core here. Press into your feet without bending your knees. Come stand up, lifting your head over the sacrum, using the core. Ah, good for you. How did that feel? Right? So one of the things you notice that I was encouraging not to do is to bend the knees and kind of round up through the spine to come up. Okay? What's happening here is there's a little bit of two things going on. One, you are now stretching the posterior chain of the body, the hamstrings. However, there is still that awareness of core. So when you come into Adva Uttanasana, into Tadasana, there is a little bit of like a mini deadlift like I would do at a gym. If I went to a gym and I needed to, because when in deadlifts, if I'm doing deadlifts, what I'm working on is strengthening the lower back. And if I'm doing that, I can't let the core hang out and just be soft or I'll round the back. So there's a little bit of engagement in the core to come up and down. Okay? So here again, contraction and extension. Science, for anything to stretch, something has to contract. Okay? For me to stretch my bicep, my tricep, my bicep has to contract. For me to stretch my bicep, my tricep has to contract. For me to stretch the back of the body, the front of the body has to contract for it to stretch. Okay? And when I bend the knees and I kind of round up, then I'm kind of like a wet noodle. Nothing's doing anything. There's no stretch really, and there's no contraction, right? And here again, it becomes a lack of awareness, a lack of that kind of like, what am I actually doing, right? It may feel good, but I'm going to tell you, you do that over and over again, and 10 years into it, you'll wreck your lower back, okay? Because you want to develop core strength to protect the lower back, okay? Any questions about Uttanasana? All right. Let's just do this one more time. But here's what I want to do, because this is where it gets confusing. I taught you from like standing into Tadasana into an Uttanasana, standing back up. But how do I actually go from Utkatasana into Uttanasana and back into Utkatasana? Because that's where people get confused with the rounding of the back. All right? So you can keep the blocks. if you can keep the blocks on this higher setting, you can also set them on this setting. We've kind of done a little bit of work here now, or you can set it on the lowest setting. Whichever is up to you. Everybody's been coming pretty regularly. Sid needed another block because she's got some tight hamstrings. Okay, so from Tadasana, bend the knees and lift the arms up, Utkatasana. So you have that contraction of the abdomen. Now hinge at your hip crease with bent knees, fold forward and put your hands flat on the blocks. And then extend your legs and look back at your knees, Uttanasana. Now bend your knees, pull your belly in, lift your shoulders and your chest, extend your arms, chair seat. And then come stand up, Tadasana, mountain seat. So there is an example of, even though you're doing a bent knee, there's an awareness of the core and the pelvic tilt, right? It's not, here again, it's not a rounding and kind of rolling up. Any questions about that transition? All right, any questions? Yes, sir. Sure. So if I talk about both of them are from Tadasana into Uttanasana or Utkatasana, chair seat. Do you want to see chair seat or do you want to see standing to forward fold? You want to see all? You want to see both of them? You want to see both of them? Okay. So from Tadasana, Utkatasana, I don't straighten my legs. I keep my knees bent. I hinge at the hip crease. I put my hands down. Then I straighten the legs, Uttanasana. Then I look up a little bit. I bend the knees. I lift the shoulders up, Utkatasana. There's that beat right here where I do a little tightness. And then stand up Tadasana. Okay? So here again, that chair seat may be only one breath. A teacher could hold it for longer, but they may only just do it as a transition moment, but there's that one moment of contraction and then stand up, right? So from Tadasana into Uttanasana, standing up, engaging the core, folding forward, putting the hands down and extending the legs. Lifting up halfway, Adha Uttanasana, and then standing up using the core. Right? So there's that little bit of acknowledgement of that I need to engage before I stand up. Right? There's that just a little like consciousness, right?
And even when you Uttanasana, even when you engage, like you bend your
Knees, but
engage this and
yes. And I think that's what some people misunderstand about chair is they think it's an abdomen stretch and they're going into an anterior pelvic tilt. It's a contraction. So I'm tucking the tailbone under like Tadasana. So I'm contracting the abdomen. And if I contract the abdomen, I can stay in awkward seat forever. But if there's no abdomen engagement, bet's off after third breath. It's too hard because the weight is uneven on the joints. So when you think about asana, you're always going to be stronger when joints are stacked on top of joints. If joints come off of the midline where the feet are, the ankles, it's harder to sustain the weight, right? It's harder to balance. All right, everybody, listen, Veronique, you could come over to that side of the room over here. Because no, you just leave your mat. You know what we'll do. Just leave your mat. We'll go back to that. But just take your blocks, 2 blocks, and we'll make a little space. And Sid, you're going to move your blocks over here. Everybody, take 2 blocks, come back to the wall, and stack the blocks on top of each other like that. Okay? And we'll adjust a little bit. So Swati, you're going to bring your blocks for the first one over that way. And you'll be fine if you use the wall where I am too. So everybody say Trikonasana. So Trikonasana is triangle. So this is what I kind of find interesting about a lot of these names for these asanas. Trees and pyramids or triangles do the same thing. They go upward energy. That's what they're doing. The energy is moving upward. So in Trikonasana, there is a pyramid shape that's being made or a triangle that's being made with the energy focused on upward, okay? So place your right foot against the outside of the block. So over here on this side of the room, everybody's going to be facing that wall. On this side of the room, we're kind of going around like a choo-choo train, so you're going to switch it around. You go right, okay. Then bend the knees a little bit and step your left heel back onto the wall. Okay? So my left heel, my booty, and my shoulders are against the wall. Okay? Now, what I want you to do is I want you to bend the right knee and track your knee toward the wall. So external rotate of the right leg. Then re-extend your right leg and track your knee down the center of the foot. So now the leg is straight. You're not going to have a bent knee, Sid. There. Now lift your arms up to shoulder height. And then reach over to the right. Reach to the right. Pull your left hip back at your hip crease. Then put your right hand on the top block. Lift your left arm up into the air. Put your left hand on the wall. Get your left shoulder on the wall. Now look up at your left thumb and kind of roll your right shoulder back to the wall, opening your chest. Notice how that the energy is going up toward the ceiling, not toward your ankle. And breathe. Inhale. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale, 2. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Inhale. Exhale, 4. Inhale. Exhale, 5. Now pressing the feet, come up. Yeah, and then lower your arms and step away from the wall. And then you're going to switch. You may have to make a little space. Some people will just be able to switch from one side to the other. So other people may have to move their blocks a little bit. Okay? So did you feel how that with your back on the wall, your head on the wall, your arms on the wall, that there was like this real upward energy, right? Right? Okay, step the left foot against the block, bend your knee a little bit, step your right foot back. Look at your right foot. Let's have it turned in a little bit. So here again, external rotation of left leg, internal rotation of right leg. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. Bend your left knee. As you bend your left knee, track your knee down the center of your foot. Then extend your left leg. Pull your right hip back a little bit. That's what's going to happen. Then lift the arms up to shoulder height. Then reach to the left. Pull your right hip back. Place your left hand down. Reach your right arm up. And try to get your right shoulder on the wall, your left shoulder on the wall. Look up at your right thumb. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Try to lengthen the rib cage. Exhale, 2. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Inhale. Exhale, 4. Inhale. Exhale, 5. Then come stand all the way up. And then exhale, lower the arms and step away from the wall and come back to your mat. All right. So let's talk about Trikonasana. First of all, remember, what did I say about yoga alignment at the top of the class? What did I say about it? Awareness of grounding, but I also said it was subjective. So listen, Trikonasana, there are like 10 different ways that different schools of yoga teach this, okay? All of them are correct in the context of what they do, okay? Everybody's looking for something different out of this particular asana. In my tradition, it's a side stretch and an outside of the outer leg stretch. Right? It's not a inner thigh stretch. It's not a core strengthening, right? So if I'm in a Bikram yoga class, they will do it like this, and they'll call that triangle. And that was very different alignment that we're doing from doing this. In some places, they'll go all the way down to the ground, but then I'm kind of crunching my rib cage toward my hip to get the hand down, and I'm kind of not a pyramid anymore. I'm kind of like collapsing pyramid of Khufu, right? There's a little abandoned, a little. So the energy here is still, we're looking for something moving up, and we're here looking for this side stretch. So as the person reaches forward, this hand is very light. And this is reaching up. And there's an energetic lift through the torso. Okay? And the wall kind of kept you from leaning forward into an anterior pelvic tilt, which you'll see that will be the next thing that happens is people will come here. And the hips will rotate out. And there will be an inward rotation of both legs because they're treating it as a forward fold. Right? All right, so now turn to face the windows and come stand. Let's do it this way. Take your belt and run the belt down the center of the mat. And the belt's just going to be used to kind of get you to become aware of the adjustment of the feet, okay? Kind of like the line in the middle of the road. I know nobody follows that, especially in Jersey City. I don't know why everybody's all in my lane and going oncoming traffic. Have you ever noticed that? Like they're driving down the street and they like swerve in front of you. I'm like, what are you doing? It's crazy. Okay. Now, Veronique, do you have a belt? Oh, put your belt down. That way everybody knows that you're doing the same thing they're doing. Yeah, that you're part of the group. All right, now come face the window, step in the middle of the mat with the arch of the foot on the belt. And your feet are together. Your feet are already together. Now here's what I'm gonna have you do. Bend the knees, bring your hands to your hips, jump your feet wide apart. Okay, how wide? This is a little subjective too, because everybody's measurement's going to be different. Lift your arms out to the side and bring your outer ankles underneath your wrist. So it may be that you didn't take a big enough step, but have you ever seen that Leonardo da Vinci man in a circle? Okay, it's a measurement of the body. That's what Da Vinci was doing when he did it. So if I measure, here's another little costume note. If I measure from wrist to wrist across the front of my body, and then I measure my inner leg inseam, those measurements are exactly the same on most people. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so now lower your arms and turn the right toes toward this wall, putting your second and third toe down the belt with the heel down the middle of the belt. Then look back at your left foot. Turn your left big toe up to the front left corner of the mat over here where I am. So there's an inward rotation of the left leg. Try to stay balanced. It's like surfing. Now, bend the right knee. And as you bend the right knee, and this is where you're going to find your balance, just bend your right knee, track your knee down the center of the foot. Keep the knee down the center of the foot. Re-extend the right leg. Straighten the right leg. Now you're going to find balance. Now lift arms up to shoulder height. Look at the window. So you're opening your chest to the windows, right? Now reach forward toward the wall in front of you. Don't bend the knee. Reach from the hip. Pull the left hip back. Now float your right hand on your right shin just below the knee joint. Now keep that hand light and lift your left arm up into the air and reach up and try to touch the ceiling with the left hand. Press into the feet to lift out of the floor. Exhale, 1. So there's earth energy grounding you and heavenly energy reaching up. And look up at your left thumb. Good. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Good. Exhale, 2. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Inhale. Exhale, 4. Inhale. Exhale 5. On the inhale, lift all the way up to stand by pressing into the feet. And exhale, lower the arms. And turn the feet parallel, facing the windows. I think your stance is still too short. Step out about to where I am, right over here. Give it a little more space. Watch. This is going to be better. Now, turn the left toes toward that wall over there. Line the second and third toe down the middle of the belt. Now, your back foot, turn it in a little bit. So you're pointing your right big toe over there where the skeleton is. Yeah, now, don't try to twist, but keep your shoulders and your chest toward this wall over here. Lift your arms up to shoulder height. Now, with a straight left leg, reach. Pull your hip back. Don't lean. Pull your ribs in. Plant your hand right there. Pull your ribs in and lengthen and push away. That's better. It looks better. It doesn't look so crunched up. And breathe. Inhale. Exhale 1. Inhale. Exhale 2. Inhale. Exhale 3. Inhale. Exhale 4. Inhale. Exhale 5. Now press into the feet and lift all the way up. And then exhale, lower your arms, turn your feet parallel, and step or jump your feet together. Yeah. All right. How did that feel? Supported. I like that. So I would say they don't hyperextend. They're soft like Tadasana. If you lock them, you're going to find that you're going to throw your hips back. So here again, the pelvis stays neutral. Whatever the knee's doing, the hips are going to do. So if I hyperextend and lock, my hips are going to go back in an anterior pelvic tilt. If I bend too much, like I said, your hips are going to go forward to balance you out. So whatever one joint is doing, it affects everything else, right? So that's something you always have to be kind of aware of. So so that's what I would say is if it's a hyperextension and locking, then it's probably throwing out your hips. It's the extremes. And it doesn't mean, I want to say that it also doesn't mean that you never hyperextend. Because when I say lift up, I have to push into the feet to lift up, right? And I think that may be that's one of the things, like, because we're on this kick right now in yoga about never hyperextending anything. The truth is you have to hyperextend in life. To walk up a flight of stairs, one leg has to hyperextend at a time for you to step up the stairs. Or you're walking up like grandma, never extending. And that's what happens when people get old. They can't extend the joint. So I don't like that idea that everything should be no hyperextension and everything should always be soft. It becomes dogmatic, and you find that the body's not dogmatic. It doesn't work that way. Any questions? You can make a conscious choice about what you want it to do, right? I want to do this, and then you can kind of work from there. Any questions about Trikonasana? Everybody say Virabhadrasana 2. So Warrior 2, yes, ma'am. So if you lock, the difference between a locking of the knee, you will feel your knee go back behind the ankle. And when it's an extension, it'll feel like it's opening up. Extending, getting longer. Yeah. So locking, I can feel it like going back behind the joint. But extension, I feel like I made a little space in the joint. Bending, I feel the joint going in front, right? So extension of the joint is good, right? All right, everybody bring your mat all the way back to the wall. until it's the tip of the short end of the mat is touching the wall. And leave the belt where it is. It's perfect. The belt is perfect. Can I use your mat again, Veronique? Okay. So in Warrior 2, here's what we're going to do. We're going to come and take our foot. Just watch me real quick. Everybody come and watch me because I want to teach. I want to kind of show you the alignment of this. I'm going to take my right toes. I'm going to put them up the wall. My heel is right there on that little thing, right? I'm going to step my left foot back. I'm going to line heel to heel. Notice how that left foot is pointing up to the left front corner of the mat. So there's association with the right foot and left foot. It's not turning that way, disassociation, or that way, disassociation. My feet are going in the same direction. Then I'm going to bend the right knee, and I'm going to put a block. Notice how my thigh is parallel to the floor. I'm looking for that adductor opening and that hip flexor opening that some people try to get out of Trikonasana. Then I'm going to take my right hand onto the wall. I'm going to give it a little push. Cranial sacral alignment. Left arm matters. So a lot of times I see left arms back here like this. So think of this as like somebody throwing a spear. Like I'm actually, this is the spear, right? This is the spear. This is what's being thrown. So I'm looking at the target and the arms are reaching forward and back about to throw that, okay? And then when I'm done, I'm gonna reach down, grab the blocks. You just needed one block. I don't know why I had two. And then switch over to the other side. So everybody do that. Come and take your toes, right toes up the wall, and line the middle of the foot up with the belt and the heel. Then look back at your back foot. Step your left foot back and line heel to heel. So you could do instep to instep. It just is harder, okay? There's nothing wrong with instep to heel, but heel to heel is a little easier. Okay, now check your back foot out. Make sure it's turned in a little bit. So inward rotation of left thigh, external rotation of right thigh. Now, bend the right knee and put the block between the knee and the wall. Now, you will know if your stance is too short, if your leg is like a ramp. So if you have to, step your left foot back a little bit. Put your hands on the wall and step your back foot back. Yeah. And then push into the wall with your knee. Put your right hand on the wall. Yeah. And then look back at your left arm and get your left arm even with your right. And then look back at your right hand and give your right hand a little push so you have cranial sacral alignment. Now, where do I look in Warrior 2? Well, I'm throwing a spear. So look at your index finger of your right hand. So you're going to look forward at the object that you're like throwing it at. Exhale 1, inhale. Exhale 2, bring your left foot back just a little. Exhale 3, and bend a little bit more in this hip crease. Better. Exhale 4, inhale. Exhale 5. Good. Now reach down with the hands, grab the block. Lift your right knee away from the wall. Yep. Now switch. Just switch really quickly. Bring your left toes up the wall. Step your right foot back into space. And here again, look at your right foot. What's your right foot doing? Your right big toe should be pointing to the front right corner of the mat. External rotation of left leg, internal rotation of right leg. Bend your left knee. Put your knee against the block. And here again, notice if the thigh's parallel to the ground. If not, move your right foot back into space a little bit. Put your left hand on the wall. Give your left hand a little push. Line the cranial and sacral on top of each other, just like a skeleton that you would see a skeleton in, like a medical skeleton. Head over the sacrum. Then lift your right arm up. Look behind you. Just check out what your right hand is doing. It's nice and even. Then look back at your left index finger and kind of push a little bit into the left knee and the left hand. Exhale 1, inhale. Good. Exhale 2, inhale. Exhale 3, kind of squeeze at the bottom of your glute, Veronique. Exhale 4, yep. Inhale. That's going to take that arch out of the back. Exhale, 5. Then reach down with the hands, grab the block. Move the knee away, and then step together. All right. Yes, sir. Hip flexor. Whew. No, that's good. You probably are not doing enough to open them up, and this is going to open them up. So this is like in reality, yes, what you're doing is you are getting to the point where you're open. Even though I was like internal rotation, external rotation, there's a squeezing of my glute muscles, which externally rotates the pelvic here. But in reality, what the pelvic is doing, it's moving up this way, right? Right? But also the alignment should be so steady. Come sit on my knee.
Sit on your knee.
Gently, not hard, but like pretend I'm Santa Claus. All right, what do you want for Christmas, little girl? So I should be stable enough that I can hold her weight up. But if my thigh is kind of at an angle, I can't hold her weight up. I got to have joint on top of joint. So the knee joint has to be over the ankle joint. Okay, thank you. And my teacher used to come around the room and sit on you like that. David Light used to sit on people during classes like that. He would like, oh, you need to like adjust. Let me give you an adjustment. All right, so let's do this now in the middle of the room. Face the windows. And now you really know how wide your feet have to be. Take your hands to your hips, jump your feet wide apart. Yeah, now turn your right toes to the right, your left toes in at a 45-degree angle. Now keep your chest and shoulders squared off to this wall. Bend your right knee, right thigh parallel to the floor, right knee over right ankle. You can look down and see if that's happening. If not, move your right foot forward a little bit. And then lift your arms up to shoulder height. Now, roll your shoulders back, moving your scapula down the back, and look at your index finger of the right hand. Warrior 2. Inhale. Good. Exhale 1. Inhale. Sid, bend the knee a little bit more. Exhale 2. That's better. Inhale. Exhale 3. Inhale. Exhale 4. Inhale. Exhale 5. Now inhale, extend the right leg. Exhale, lower your arms by the side of the body without moving your feet too much. Rotate on your heels, point your toes toward the windows. Then turn your left toes toward the wall to the left side of the room and your right toes in on a little bit of angle. Then lift your arms up to shoulder height. Bend your left knee. As you bend your left knee, check, see if your left thigh is parallel to the floor. Track the knee down the center of the foot. Cranial over sacral. Inhale. Exhale 1. Inhale. Gaze is at that left index finger. Exhale 2. That's where the target is. Exhale 3. Inhale. Exhale 4. Inhale. Exhale 5. Extend the left leg and exhale, lower the arms. Turn the feet parallel and jump the feet together. All right. So how did that feel? Hip flexors. Okay. So this is a big hip flexor opener. Yes. In the inner, so some people are going to feel it differently. He's feeling it all right here. He's like, it's all here for me. You're feeling it on the adductors, the inner thighs. It's here again. It's subjective. Like different people are going to feel it a different way. I can ask. That's why I ask a lot of questions in class, and especially in fundamentals. Like, what do you feel? What do you feel? Because I can't tell you what to feel. I can ask you what you are feeling. But he's feeling it here, you're feeling it here. And so that's just saying that the challenges of it are different places. One of the things is I did teach triangle and warrior 2 together because those are open hips and shoulders. Virabhadrasana 1 our warrior one is a closed hip and a closed shoulder. And we teach it pretty specific because what we're trying to do, and like I said, everything is subjective. What we want to do is we want to find a hip flexor opener and a psoas opener. Not a lot of people talk about psoas, but psoas, if psoas gets tight, you can't stand up straight. So we're looking for a psoas opener here. So here's what we're going to do. You can just watch me again. Same kind of setup. I'm going to bend the knee, but I was here. I'm going to turn toward the wall. Notice that rotation in the trunk, but also notice that I'm heel to heel, which causes me to pull this hip back and this left hip forward. And there is my psoas opener because I'm going to put both hands on the wall. And here, fingertips are pretty good for this one. And I'm going to push back, creating a little crunch in the lower back, creating a back bend, which is going to stretch right here at the psoas attachment. Right? Then I can bring my hands away from the wall. And in my tradition, old school, you'll see this at Iyengar, you'll see this at Krishnamacharya. My teachers like to have the idea that the warrior's energy is coming from the heart. So it's a little more heartfelt than headfelt. And then I'll just switch sides, okay? So bring your right toes up the wall. And then step your left foot back, heel to heel. Like I said, you could do instep to heel, but it makes it a lot harder. And then bend the right knee and put the block between the knee and the wall. And already you can start to feel that hip flexor opening and psoas opening. Now take both hands to the wall. Yeah, push your right knee into that block. Pull your right hip back and your left hip forward. Now, just come onto your fingertips, that's going to cause you to go into a little bit of a contraction of the lower back. Then bring your hands together in prayer and extend your arms and lift your hands away from the wall, about 45-degree angle. And keep pulling energetically the right hip back and the left hip forward. So there's a little twist here too. Exhale 1. Inhale. Good. Exhale 2. Inhale. Exhale 3, inhale. Exhale 4, inhale. Exhale 5, reach down, grab the block. Move the right knee away from the wall. And switch sides. It's intense, right? So one of the things I want to point out, and here again, this is that idea that like when I said flat back, your back is never flat. Your hips cannot square. They're not a box. It's the energetic of that. So bend the left knee, put the left knee, the block on the left, underneath the left knee. Then just take the hands to the wall. Pull your left hip back into the middle of the room. Move your right hip toward the wall. Then come onto your fingernails like a cat, kind of pushing the wall away from you, which creates a little bit of contraction in the back. And then bring the hands together and lift the arms away from the wall, pulling your left shoulder back, your right shoulder forward. Exhale 1. Inhale. Good. Exhale 2. Inhale. Exhale 3. Inhale. Exhale 4. Inhale. Exhale 5. Then reach down, grab the block, move the knee away from the wall, and then come back to the front of your mat. Yeah. All right, so now let's do that without the props. So face this wall. You doing okay over there? Don't pass out on me. You're doing good. You're doing good. You're doing good. So then step in the middle of your mat. Step your feet wide apart or jump your feet wide apart. You know how wide now. You know how wide your legs have to be according to your body. Now, turn the right toes toward the wall. Second and third toes going to track down the belt. Heel is going to be on the belt. Turn your left toes in on that 45-degree angle. That's how you close the hip. If your foot is turned behind you or toward the windows, you can't close the hip. Bring your hands to your hips. Now, move your right hip behind you and your left hip toward the wall in front of you. Then bend your right knee. Bend your right knee so deeply that the right thigh is parallel to the floor. Now bring your thumbs into your armpits. Now lift your armpit muscles up like you're holding up suspenders. There's that little back bend. Then extend your arms out in front of you. Press your palms together. Your index finger and thumb could move away from each other if you have tight shoulders, and then lift your arms slightly up about 45-degree angle, but keep pulling the right shoulder back, the left shoulder forward. Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale 1, inhale. Exhale 2, inhale. Exhale 3, inhale. This is a little short. Exhale 4, scoot this right foot forward. Inhale. Exhale 5. On your inhale, extend. Exhale, take your hands to your hips. Rotate on your heels. Turn your left toes toward the wall in front of you over here to the left. Your right toes in on that 45-degree angle. Then, with your hands on your hips, pull your right hip back toward the wall behind you, your left hip toward the center of the room. Then bend the left knee, left thigh parallel to the floor. Then bring your thumbs into the armpits. Lift the pectoral muscles up, feeling a little contraction in the lower back. Extend the arms out in front of you. Press the palms together. Lift the arms up a little bit, 45-degree angle. Index finger and thumb can move away from each other. This is a little better, but still, notice how the knee is in front of the ankle. So still go forward. We're going to get you to go there. That's better. Exhale 1. Inhale, but don't let this lift up. Exhale 2, press down here. Inhale. Exhale 3, good. Inhale. Exhale 4. Inhale. Exhale 5. Inhale, extend the left leg. Exhale, lower the arms and rotate on the heels. Step or jump the feet together. Woo! Now, that is the mother of all hip openers.
In this, can we bend our knee or no? We have to bend
Back leg is extending. It's not bending, right? It's a grounding. So think of it as like that's a grounding. If you bend the knee, you're unstable.
Okay. And because it's extending, my heels should be touching.
Yes. Yeah. That wants to ground down. Okay. Good. Any other questions? All right. So in here, we're all feeling this hip flexor, right? So let's continue with this idea of this hip flexor. You're going to take a block. You can be on the mat if you want to. We're going to take the block, and it's going to be about my thigh away from the wall. I'm going to stand on the block. I'm going to bend the left knee into the chest. I'm going to open up the left knee. I'm going to put the left foot on the inner right thigh, and I'm going to put the left knee on the wall. And then I'm going to bring the hands together, and I'm going to balance. But the hip opener, the hip flexor is that knee on the wall, right? To get the hip open, you got to squeeze the glutes. You got to pinch a little bit at the bottom of the glute muscles, okay? So you can start out start on the right foot, which means most people will be facing away from the windows. Stand on your right foot, bend your left knee into your chest, give your left knee a little hug, then open up your left knee and put your left knee on the wall, your left foot in the inner right thigh. Yep. And you can hike it, you can reach down and help that foot up there a little bit. And then squeeze at the bottom of your glute muscles, your butt muscles, gluteus minus at the bottom. And as you do that, you'll find it'll neutralize the pelvis if you have a tendency to go into a pelvic tilt, or an anterior pelvic tilt especially. Then bring the hands together in a mudra. This is called undulating mudra. And then just balance. Inhale. Exhale 1. Inhale. Exhale 2. Inhale. Exhale 3. Inhale. Exhale 4. Inhale. Exhale 5. Good. Now bring your left knee forward. Give it a good hug. Then step down and then flip around. Step onto the ball. You got to turn and face the windows now. Step onto the block with your right foot. It's extending. It's extending again. You're not bending. You're standing. Yeah. And then bend the right knee into the chest. Then open up the right knee, put the right knee on the wall, put the right foot in the left thigh. Here again, a little bit of squeezing at the bottom of the glute. That's going to pull the ribs in and neutralize the pelvis. Bring the hands together, balance, exhale 1. And here again, yes, you are pushing through that standing left leg. Exhale 1, inhale. Exhale 2, inhale. Exhale 3, inhale. Good. Exhale 4. Inhale. Exhale 5. Good. Now bring the right knee forward. Give it a good hug. And then place the right foot on the floor. All right. Yay. Any questions? Everybody say Vrikshasana. Did everybody say Vrikshasana? Vrikshasana, tree seat. I was supposed to tell you handstand. Adho Mukha Vrikshasana. Just a regular old tree. All right. Now, everybody take your belt, move that off to the side. Okay? And then come and sit with your left hip against the wall, your left shoulder against the wall at the edge of your mat over here to the right. Then roll over onto the back with your legs up the wall, coming into an L shape. You're going to sit down to do that. Yes. All right. Now, a lot of times people do this with belts, blankets, and all kinds of props. I find it depends on who it is. If you like a blanket underneath the sacrum, you can put a blanket underneath the sacrum for this, but I find that it hurts. It's not accurate for everybody to say everybody loves that. So this is called, everybody say Viparina Karani. So Viparina Karani is the first time we've done something without the word asana at the end. So Viparina Karani is not an asana anymore, it's a mudra. A mudra is a seal. And this is a nice ending seal to an asana practice. But in Viparina Karani, what's happening is remember when I said all of a sudden we stood up and we became bipods. So what happens is the heart does not like being on those feet like that. The heart has to work really hard to get the blood back up into the heart from the legs. This is what varicose veins are. Like if you see people with varicose veins, their heart's having a hard time getting the fluid back up, and so it builds up in the legs. So Viparina Karani is excellent for tired legs, for tired feet, for feet and legs that are swollen because you've been walking around the city all day, or you've been doing a lot of standing asanas. It gets the blood to go quickly back into the torso. So all of a sudden now the body, the internal organs are being flooded with blood. And it's getting the heart not to work so hard. But like I said, this is an asana. It's a mudra. It's a seal. Okay? Breathe. Inhale. Exhale 1. Inhale. Exhale 2. Inhale. Exhale 3. Inhale. Exhale 4. Inhale. Exhale 5. Now bend the knees into the chest. Give the knees a little hug. And then just slowly roll over to the right side. Yep. Try not to run into anybody or anything. And lift the torso up and come lay down on the back. And you can place a blanket underneath the knees. You can place a blanket on top of you. I'm running about 5 minutes behind, so I'm going to give you a short Shavasana. So come lay down in Shavasana. Shavasana means corpse seat. And this is probably the hardest asana you'll ever practice because you're pretending you're dead. That's the point. You have no energy anymore. So it's the final relaxation. When we talk about contraction and relaxation, Shavasana is the ultimate in relaxation. So allow your body just to become really heavy. And become aware of the toes and tell yourself, toes, relax. Become aware of the soles of the feet. Tell the soles of the feet to relax. Become aware of the ankles and tell the ankles to relax. Become aware of the shins and tell the shins to relax. Become aware of the knees and tell the knees to relax. Become aware of the thighs and tell the thighs to relax. Become aware of the hips, tell the hips to relax. Become aware of the abdomen and tell the abdomen to relax. Become aware of the lower back and tell the lower back to relax. Become aware of the chest and tell the chest to relax. Become aware of the upper back, tell the upper back to relax. Becoming aware of the fingers, tell the fingers to relax. Becoming aware of the inside of the hands, tell the inside of the hands to relax. Becoming aware of the top of the hands, tell the top of the hands to relax. Becoming aware of the forearms, tell the forearms to relax. Becoming aware of the upper arms, tell the upper arms to relax. Becoming aware of the shoulders, tell the shoulders to relax. Becoming aware of the throat, tell the throat to relax. Becoming aware of the head, tell the head to relax. Becoming aware of the entire body from the top of the head to the soles of the feet, tell the entire body to relax. Gently start to deepen the breath. And as you deepen the breath, make small movements with the fingers and the toes. And stretch the arms overhead, stretching the arms and legs in opposite directions. And draw the knees into the chest. Give the knees a little hug. And then gently roll over to the right side. And pressing the left palm into the earth, lift the torso up and come up to a seated position. And just take a moment, close the eyes, and inhale deeply. And exhale everything out. Do it one more time. Inhale deeply. And exhale out. And then gently bring the hands together in undulating mudra. And bow the head down to meet the hands, sealing the practice. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful day. If you have any questions, I'll still answer any questions you might have. But next week, it's forward folds and hip openers. Then the third week, back bending. And the fourth week, putting it all together and turning it upside down. I think you're teaching next week, though, for me, right? Okay. You're teaching next week. And then, so we'll see you in class. Thank you. Yes.
I did this class already, and the first time I did it was so hard to do every part. If you remember, I was like, but it's like we build this internal awareness that starts to build, and the next time you come in, it's going to be a lot nicer. So supportive, and you can see the parts of my body internally.
Yeah. And I actually agree with you. I think doing a couple of rounds of this is good if you're new to yoga, because it's too much information to take in all at the first time. It's almost impossible because it's like internal rotation, external rotation, and you have to kind of do it over and over again. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you for that, though. Yeah. This is the third time you guys have done it. Yeah. Third month. I had when we first opened, there was this student, Elizaveta. She has this amazingly beautiful practice. And she came in kind of just naturally with this beautiful she was a dancer. She did fundamentals for 2 years and would not, I would say, you can go to open class. You should go to open class. She was like, no. It took her 2 years to go to an open class. And I think that's fine, you know. Thank you. Thank you both.